Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on a journey, not just across the globe, but back in time, to a place where stone whispers secrets of gods and kings. We're venturing deep into the heart of Cambodia to uncover the story of a lost city and its magnificent temple, the legendary Angkor Wat. Imagine, a structure so vast it's considered the largest religious monument in the world. A masterpiece of architecture that has puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. How was it built? Why was it abandoned? And what ancient truths are carved into its very foundations? Stick with us as we peel back the layers of jungle and time to reveal the rise, the fall, and the rebirth of Angkor Wat. Visuals shift to stunning drone shots of Angkor Wat at sunrise. Our story begins in the 12th century with a visionary king named Suryavarman II. He was the ruler of the mighty Khmer Empire, a civilization that dominated Southeast Asia for over 600 years. Unlike his predecessors who built their temples facing east, Suryavarman broke with tradition. His grand vision, Angkor Wat, would face west, a direction associated with Vishnu, the Hindu preserver god, and also the direction of the afterlife. This wasn't just a temple, it was a statement. It was Suryavarman's personal mausoleum, a celestial palace on earth designed to ensure his soul's union with the divine after his death. Construction was a monumental undertaking, involving an estimated 300,000 workers, thousands of elephants, and decades of relentless labor. The sheer scale is almost impossible to comprehend. The temple complex covers over 400 acres, surrounded by a massive moat that represents the mythical oceans of the cosmos. The sandstone blocks, some weighing over 1.5 tons, were quarried from a mountain more than 30 miles away. They were then floated down rivers and canals on massive rafts, a logistical feat that would challenge even modern engineers. Think about that for a moment, transporting millions of tons of stone through dense jungle and waterways, all without the aid of modern machinery. It's a testament to the incredible ingenuity and organizational power of the Khmer Empire. Close-ups of intricate carvings, gods, dancers, and warriors on temple walls. Every inch of Angkor Wat tells a story. The carvings stretch for miles of living scripture in stone. As you walk through its galleries, you're not just observing art. You're reading an epic. The bas-reliefs depict gods battling demons, the churning of the cosmic ocean to create the elixir of immortality, and celestial dancers, the Apsaras frozen in eternal grace. There are over 3,000 unique Apsaras carved into these walls, each with a different hairstyle, headdress, and expression. These weren't just decorations. They were lessons, a visual encyclopedia of Hindu mythology, a connection between the trials of human life and the grand theater of the universe. For a population that was largely illiterate, these carvings were their sacred texts, their history books, and their moral compass, all etched into the temple's very soul. But Angkor Wat's genius goes far beyond its art. Modern scientists and archaeoastronomers have discovered that its architecture is based on breathtaking astronomical precision. The layout is a perfect microcosm of the Hindu universe. The central 5 towers represent the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods. Each corridor, each tower, reflects a mathematical model of the solar and lunar cycles. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, the sun rises directly over the central tower, a celestial alignment that happens with clockwork accuracy. It wasn't just a temple. It was a cosmic machine, a giant stone calendar, a structure meticulously designed to unite heaven and earth, aligning the kingdom with the very order of the cosmos. Suryavarman didn't just build a tomb, he built a bridge to the stars. Visuals of thunderstorms rolling across the ruins, wind whipping through trees, dark clouds gathering, but even gods can fall. And empires, no matter how mighty, are not eternal. After Suryavarman II's death, the empire he had built began to fracture. Internal power struggles and external threats from neighboring kingdoms weakened the Khmer's grip on the region. New kings rose, and with them came a shift in faith. The Hindu gods that had inspired Angkor Wat were gradually replaced by a new spiritual path: Buddhism. Angkor Wat changed with them. Its statues of Vishnu were altered or replaced, its shrines repurposed to shelter the serene image of the Buddha. The temple that once honored the preserver god now became a place of Buddhist pilgrimage, It is a powerful reminder that even the most enduring monuments are shaped and reshaped by the currents of human belief. And then, around the 15th century, the unthinkable happened. Angkor, the sprawling capital city of the Khmer Empire and home to nearly 1 million people, was abandoned. The bustling boulevards fell silent. The intricate network of canals ran dry. The city that was once the vibrant heart of a powerful civilization was left to the mercy of the jungle. Why? The exact reason remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Some scholars believe relentless wars with the neighboring Siamese kingdom of Ayutthaya drove the people out, forcing the capital to be relocated further south. Others point to environmental catastrophe. Centuries of deforestation and intensive rice farming may have disrupted the delicate water management system, leading to devastating cycles of flood and drought that caused famine and disease. The truth is likely a combination of all these factors, a perfect storm of war, climate change, and societal collapse that brought a golden age to an end. For centuries, Angkor Wat lay hidden, swallowed by creeping vines, guarded by an impenetrable silence, and forgotten by the outside world. Visuals of a 19th century explorer hacking through jungle, revealing the temple for the first time for nearly 400 years. Angkor Wat was a ghost, a myth whispered among locals. But its rediscovery would change everything. In the 1860s, a French naturalist and explorer named Henry Mouat, guided by local Cambodians who had never truly forgotten the temple, hacked his way through the dense jungle. What he saw left him breathless. He described it as grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome. His vivid journals and detailed sketches, published after his death, captivated Europe and sparked a global fascination with the lost city. Suddenly, the world's attention was focused on this forgotten corner of Cambodia. The rediscovery of Angkor Wat wasn't just the finding of a ruin, it was the resurrection of an entire civilization's legacy. The work to reclaim Angkor from the jungle was a colossal effort, beginning with French archaeologists in the early 20th century. They called their method anastylosis, which involves dismantling crumbling structures stone by stone, reinforcing the foundations, and then reassembling them exactly as they were. It's like solving the world's most complex jigsaw puzzle. Imagine the patience and precision required to map, move, and restore these ancient, heavy blocks. This painstaking work continued for decades, slowly revealing the temple's former glory from beneath a blanket of green. However, this revival was tragically interrupted. In the 1970s, Cambodia plunged into the darkness of civil war and the brutal Khmer Rouge regime. The archaeologists fled, and the temples became battlegrounds. The delicate carvings were scarred by bullets, ancient structures were damaged by conflict, and landmines were scattered throughout the complex, turning this sacred site into a field of danger. For a terrifying period, it seemed as though Angkor might be lost once again, this time not to the jungle, but to the ravages of modern warfare. It was a dark chapter in the temple's long and tumultuous history, inspiring visuals of modern conservation work. Tourists of all nationalities exploring the temple, but the spirit of Angkor Wat is one of After the conflict ended, a massive international conservation effort was launched. Today, teams from all over the world, from Japan, Germany, India, and beyond work alongside Cambodian experts to preserve this World Heritage Site. They battled the relentless tropical climate, fight the encroaching jungle, and painstakingly repair the damage of time and war. This global collaboration is a beautiful testament to the universal value of human heritage. Angkor Wat no longer belongs to just one king or one religion. It belongs to all of humanity. Today, Angkor Wat is more than just an archaeological site. It's the heart and soul of Cambodia. It proudly adorns the national flag, a symbol of Khmer pride, resilience, and identity. Each year, millions of visitors from every corner of the globe walk its hallowed halls. They come to marvel at its scale, to feel the stories in its stones, and to witness the unforgettable spectacle of a sunrise over its iconic towers. It's a place of profound peace and spiritual power, a bridge connecting the ancient past with our modern world. To stand within its walls is to feel the weight of history and the enduring power of human creativity. It's a reminder that even after centuries of silence and struggle, beauty survives. Deep within the heart of Cambodia lies a secret older than empires, a city once thought built by gods. Its towers pierce the heavens, its walls whisper forgotten prayers, and its stones still shimmer with the light of eternity. This is Angkor Wat, a temple so vast, so precise, and so mysterious that even today, no one fully understands how it was created. Long before skyscrapers, long before steel and glass, this ancient city rose from the jungle, a monument to devotion, power, and divine engineering. But behind its beauty hides a story of conquest, faith, and disappearance. The story of a kingdom that ruled the earth and then vanished. 1,000 years ago, in the 12th century, the Khmer Empire ruled Southeast Asia, a civilization of immense wealth and wisdom. At its heart stood its king, Surivarman II, a ruler who sought not just power, but immortality. He ordered the construction of Angkor Wat, a temple that would mirror the heavens themselves, a bridge between mankind and the divine. Over 30 years, thousands of artisans, slaves, and priests carved millions of sandstone blocks, dragged from mountains miles away. They used elephants, bamboo scaffolds, and human will no modern machinery, just faith and genius. The temple was aligned perfectly with the cosmos, its 5 towers symbolizing the peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods. At dawn, the sun rose directly over the central spire site, so divine, the people believed the heavens themselves had blessed their king. The walls of Angkor Wat are not silent. They are a library carved in stone. Over 2 kilometers of bas-reliefs depict epic tiles from Hindu mythology, battles between gods and demons, celestial dancers, and the great churning of the ocean of milk. These aren't just decorations. They are sacred texts designed to guide the souls of the faithful. Every detail, from the direction the temple faces to the number of steps, holds a cosmic meaning. Angkor Wat was more than a building. It was a living, breathing map of the universe, a giant mandala designed to channel spiritual energy. For a time, it was the center of the world, a beacon of civilization that shone brighter than any other. But even the greatest empires are not immune to the passage of time. The death of Surivarman II marked the beginning of a slow decline. The kingdom faced internal strife and external threats. Ariba l'Empire de Khens launched a surprise naval attack, sacking the holy city of Angkor. The Khmer kingdom was brought to its knees, its divine capital desperate. It seemed as if the gods had abandoned them. But from the ashes of this defeat, a new hero emerged, a king who would not only reclaim their glory, but would elevate the empire to even greater heights. His name was Jayavarman VII. Jayavarman VII was a visionary and a devout Buddhist. He drove out the invaders and established a new capital, Angkor Thom, just north of Angkor Wat. At its center, he built the Bayon Temple, a structure unlike any other. Instead of towers reaching for a distant heaven, the Bayon featured 216 giant, serene faces carved into its stone's faces, believed to be a representation of the compassionate Bodhisattva, Avalokiteshvara, but also bearing the likeness of the king himself. He was no longer just a ruler. He was a protector, a living god watching over his people from every direction. Under his reign, the empire flourished. He built a vast network of roads, hospitals, and reservoirs, creating a welfare state that was centuries ahead of its time. For a moment, it seemed the Khmer Empire was invincible, its future eternal. Yet, this golden age was not to last. The massive construction projects, while magnificent, placed an immense strain on the kingdom's resources and its people. The intricate water management system that sustained the city began to fail, perhaps due to climate change or neglect. The state religion shifted from Hinduism to Buddhism and back again, creating social instability. The empire's power began to wane. By the 15th century, the neighboring Siamese kingdom of Ayutthaya launched a devastating invasion. This time, Angkor could not recover. The royal court abandoned the city, moving the capital closer to modern-day Phnom Penh. The jungle, which had been held back for centuries, began its slow, relentless reclamation. For nearly 400 years, Angkor was lost to the outside world, swallowed by the forest. Vines choked its galleries, Tree roots pried apart its stone blocks, and the cries of monkeys replaced the chants of priests. While local people always knew of its existence, it became a ghost city, a place of myth and legend spoken of in hushed tones. It wasn't until the 1860s that a French naturalist, Henri Mouat, stumbled upon the ruins. His vivid descriptions and detailed sketches captivated Europe, introducing the lost city of Angkor to the world. He wrote, "It is grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome." The rediscovery sparked a global fascination and began a monumental effort to preserve this world wonder. But Angkor's trials were not over. In the 20th century, Cambodia was plunged into the horror of the Khmer Rouge regime. The conflict devastated the country, and the temples became a battlefield. The work of archaeologists and conservators was halted, and many of the experts who held the keys to Angkor's secrets were lost. The temples were looted, their statues decapitated and sold on the black market. The very soul of Cambodia was under attack, and its greatest treasure was at risk of being lost forever. After the fall of the regime, a new battle began to fight to save it. International teams from around the world joined forces with Cambodian experts. It has been one of the most ambitious and complex restoration projects in human history. They are not just rebuilding stone structures, they are piecing together a lost identity, restoring a nation's pride. Today, technology like LiDAR has allowed archaeologists to peer beneath the jungle canopy, revealing a sprawling urban landscape far larger than ever imagined, with roads, canals, and neighborhoods stretching for hundreds of square kilometers. We now know that at its peak, Angkor was the largest pre-industrial city in the world, home to nearly 1 million people. Visiting Angkor Wat today is like stepping into another dimension. As you walk through its cool, stone corridors and gaze up at its celestial towers, you can feel the echoes of 1,000 years of history. You can almost hear the footsteps of kings, the whispers of priests, and the songs of the artisans who poured their lives into these stones. Angkor Wat is more than just a ruin. It is a testament to the incredible heights that human creativity and faith can achieve. It's a story of ambition, devotion, collapse, and rebirth. A reminder that even when great civilizations fall, their legacy can endure, waiting in the silence of the jungle to inspire the world once more. Start with visuals of a dense, mysterious jungle, perhaps with old maps and explore sketches overlaid. Imagine yourself in the year 1860. You're deep in the heart of the Cambodian jungle, a world of suffocating heat, buzzing insects, and a constant threat of the unknown. This was the world of Henri Mouat, a French naturalist who, guided by local knowledge, was about to make a discovery that would rewrite history. Hacking his way through a seemingly impenetrable wall of green, he stumbled upon something that defied belief. Transition to visuals of Angkor Wat's towers emerging from the mist and jungle. They're rising from the jungle floor like a stone mountain range, were colossal towers, intricate galleries, and serene, smiling faces carved into the rock, half swallowed by moss. In the serpentine grip of tree roots, it was a lost city, a ghost kingdom of impossible scale. Mouat was utterly captivated. In his journal, he wrote with a sense of awe that still resonates today. One of these temples, a rival to Solomon's and erected by some ancient Michelangelo, might take an honorable place beside our most beautiful buildings. It is grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome. Show vintage photos and sketches of early Western explorers at Angkor, their faces a mix of wonder and disbelief. When Mouat's words and sketches reached Europe, they ignited a firestorm of excitement. The Western world was stunned. Who could have built such a marvel? And how could it have been so completely forgotten, swallowed by the jungle for centuries? The story of a lost civilization, a kingdom that simply vanished, captured the imagination of scholars, adventurers, and dreamers. Angkor was hailed as the 8th wonder of the world. Visuals shift to show the vastness of the Angkor complex. Angkor Thom, Bayon, Taprom. But Angkor wasn't just one temple. It was a sprawling megacity, the capital of the mighty Khmer Empire. At its zenith, in the 12th century, Angkor was the largest pre-industrial city in the world, home to nearly 1 million people. Its intricate network of canals and reservoirs, a masterpiece of engineering, supported this massive population and its rice-based economy. The heart of this empire, Angkor Wat, was not just a temple, it was a microcosm of the Hindu universe. Its 5 towers representing the peaks of Mount Meru, the home of the gods, focus on the intricate carvings and bas-reliefs. Every surface of these temples tells a story. Look closer at these walls. They are not silent stone. They are epic poems carved for eternity. Here, you see legendary battles from Hindu epics like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. There, you see celestial dancers called Apsuras, each one unique, frozen in a moment of divine grace. And here, you can trace the daily life of the Khmer people market scenes, fishing, festivals, a detailed snapshot of a civilization at its peak. The sheer artistry and labor involved are staggering, a testament to the devotion and power of an empire that saw itself as the center of the world. The tone becomes more somber, show images of damage, headless statues, bullet holes, and looted sections. But with rediscovery came a new chapter, a darker one. The world's fascination became a double-edged sword. Looters, drawn by the allure of priceless artifacts, descended upon the sacred sites, decapitating statues and stealing entire sections of the border. These treasures, once objects of worship, were scattered across private collections and museums around the world, torn from their spiritual home. Then came the horrors of the 20th century. Decades of civil war and the brutal Khmer Rouge regime left deep scars on Cambodia and its heritage. The temples, once battlegrounds for gods and demons in stone, became real battlegrounds. Bullet holes pockmarked ancient walls, and landmines seeded the sacred grounds, turning a place of peace into a landscape of peril. For a time, it seemed as if Angkor might be lost once more, not to the jungle, but to the destructive forces of humanity. A slow, hopeful transition showed drone shots of a breathtaking sunrise over Angkor Wat. And yet, it endured. Like a god who refuses to die, Angkor stood. When peace finally returned to Cambodia, a new kind of army arrived. Not of explorers or soldiers, but of conservationists, archaeologists, and restorers from around the globe. They came together for one of the most ambitious restoration projects in human history. They carefully cleared the mines, stabilized crumbling structures, and pieced together the giant stone puzzle that had been scattered by time and conflict. Show scenes of modern-day life at Angkor. Saffron-robed monks walking through the galleries, local families having picnics, tourists watching in awe. Closing parenthesis today, Angkor Wat is not a dead ruin. It is vibrantly alive. Walk through its stone corridors at dawn, and you will share them with young monks in their brilliant orange robes. Their quiet footsteps echoing those of their ancestors from 1,000 years ago. You will see local Cambodians leaving offerings of fragrant flowers and incense, their prayers connecting the present to a deep and unbroken past. This is not just a monument. Iti Salibin, breathing, place of worship. Show a time-lapse of the sunrise with silhouettes of people watching from the edge of the reflecting pool. And it is a place of pilgrimage for the entire world. Every year, millions of people travel across continents just to witness this one moment. The sunrise over Angkor Wat. They stand in reverent silence as the sun's first rays paint the sky in shades of gold and purple, illuminating the iconic towers and reflecting them perfectly in the still waters of the Lotus Pond. In that moment, standing where heaven and earth seem to meet, you can feel the temple's enduring power. The temple that was built for gods now welcomes all of humanity, and with sweeping, majestic shots of the entire complex, bathed in the golden light of late afternoon. The story of Angkor is a powerful reminder. It tells us that empires can crumble, cities can be swallowed by the jungle, and even the hardest stone can be scarred by time and war. Everything rises and everything falls. But it also teaches us something more profound, that human creativity, faith, and the will to preserve our shared heritage can triumph over destruction. The devotion that built these temples is the same spirit that now protects them. It is a devotion that remains eternal. In the heart of the 19th century, a world still mapped with shadows and secrets, a French naturalist named Henry Mouat ventured deep into the Cambodian jungle. He wasn't searching for lost cities or fabled treasures. He was a man of science, collecting exotic insects and plants, but what he found would rewrite history. In 1860, pushing through a near impenetrable wall of green, he stumbled upon something extraordinary, something that defied belief. Imagine his perspective, the oppressive humidity, the chorus of unseen creatures, the constant battle against nature. Then, through a break in the leaves, a vision appears. Towers of stone, impossibly intricate, clawing their way toward the sky. Giant, serene faces, carved from rock, smile through a veil of moss and ancient vines. It wasn't just a ruin, it was a ghost, a stone giant sleeping under a blanket of jungle. Moate, a man of empirical facts, was moved to poetry. He wrote in his journal, his hand surely trembling with a mix of awe and disbelief. One of these temples, a rival to Solomon's and erected by some ancient Michelangelo, might take an honorable place beside our most beautiful buildings. It is grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome. He had rediscovered Angkor Wat. When his journals and sketches reached Europe, the Western world was utterly stunned. How could a civilization capable of such architectural genius simply vanish? Who were these master builders? A forgotten kingdom had re-emerged from the jungle, sparking a firestorm of curiosity. Scholars, archaeologists, and wide-eyed dreamers packed their bags and set sail for Cambodia. They came rushing to Angkor, this newly unveiled mystery. They didn't just call it a marvel, they crowned it the eighth wonder of the world. The discovery, however, was a double-edged sword. With the light of recognition came the shadow of human greed. The very wonder that drew people in also made it a target. Looters, driven by profit, stole priceless statues, decapitating gods to sell on the black market. Invaders and colonists, ignorant of its sacredness, chipped away at its delicate carvings for souvenirs. The sacred stones of Angkor, which had weathered centuries of monsoons and jungle encroachment, now faced their greatest threat: humanity. Then came the 20th century, and with it, the horrors of war. Cambodia was plunged into decades of brutal conflict. The Khmer Rouge regime sought to erase the past, and Angkor became a battleground. Bullet holes pockmarked ancient walls, and landmines lay hidden in the shadow of its hallowed halls. The temple that had stood as a symbol of divine harmony became a silent witness to human chaos. Yet still, through it all, Angkor stood. It endured. It persisted, like a god who simply refuses to die. But this is not a story of loss. It's a story of resilience. Today, if you visit Angkor Wat, you'll find it is not just a relic of the past. It is breathtakingly alive. The stone is not cold. It breathes. Every morning, as the first hint of dawn touches the sky, a procession of monks in saffron-orange robes walks its ancient corridors. Their soft chants echo in the same halls that once resonated with the prayers of kings and high priests 1,000 years ago. The air, thick with the scent of jasmine and lotus, carries the fragrance of devotion. Local Cambodians, descendants of the very people who built this wonder, still come to leave offerings of flowers, incense, and whispered prayers. They don't see a ruin. They see a home for their gods, the center of their spiritual universe. And they are not alone. Millions of people from every corner of the globe undertake a pilgrimage to witness the sunrise over Angkor Wat. They stand in reverent silence, a global congregation, as the sun's rays slowly illuminate the 5 lotus bud towers, painting the sky in hues of fire and gold. In that moment, standing on the causeway, you feel it, the profound sense that you are standing at a place where heaven and earth meet. The temple that once served the Hindu god Vishnu now welcomes all of humanity, offering a moment of shared wonder, a connection that transcends culture, language, and time. Its message, carved not just in stone but in its very survival, endures. Everything rises, everything falls, empires crumble, civilizations fade. But what is built with true devotion can achieve a kind of immortality. As the sun sets, casting long shadows that dance across the bar-leaves, the temple seems to transform once more. The sky behind it burns gold and crimson, a celestial fire that silhouettes the iconic towers. Seen from above, Angkor Wat is not just a building, it's a cosmic diagram, a stone mandala representing the mythical Malmaru, the center of the universe. It is a perfect fusion of spiritual symbolism and astronomical precision. Its builders are long gone. The mighty Khmer Empire has faded into history, but its soul, its light, still touches the sky. Angkor Wat is more than a monument of stone. It is a heartbeat, still echoing through time. It teaches us a powerful lesson in a world that is so quick to forget. In our fast-paced digital age where memory is fleeting, some things simply refuse to be forgotten. They hold their ground, whisper their stories to those who will listen, and remind us of the enduring power of human faith and creativity. And perhaps that is the greatest wonder of all. In the heart of Southeast Asia, where the jungle breathes with secrets, and the air hums with forgotten prayers, a city sleeps. A city not built by mortals alone, but by an ambition that reached for the divine. They call it Angkor Wat, a temple that defies time, a monument carved for the gods, and a mystery that continues to echo through the centuries. This is not just the story of a temple. It's the story of a king who wanted eternity, a civilization that dreamed of touching heaven, and a legacy swallowed by the jungle and silence. The year is 1113 AD. The Khmer Empire stands at the height of its gloried rulers of vast lands, from the Mekong to the Gulf of Siam. Their king, Suryafar Mandua, was no ordinary man. He claimed divine descent, chosen by Vishnu himself to rule Earth in harmony with the heavens. But Suryavarman wanted more than power. He wanted immortality, and so he commanded the impossible, to build a temple so magnificent that even the gods would bow to it. For over 37 years, an army of architects, artisans, and laborers worked tirelessly. Imagine over 100,000 people, along with thousands of elephants, hauling massive blocks of sandstone, some weighing over 1.5 tons, from quarries over 30 miles away. They didn't have modern machinery, only raw strength, incredible ingenuity, and unwavering faith. They carved every surface, every pillar, every wall, with stories from Hindu mythology, battles between gods and demons, celestial dancers frozen in stone, and the king himself, depicted as a living god. Angkor Wat was not just a temple. It was a cosmic diagram, a model of the Hindu universe. Its 5 central towers represent the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods. The vast moat surrounding it symbolizes the cosmic ocean. Every detail, from the orientation of the gates to the length of the causeways, was meticulously planned to align with the stars and the sun. On the spring equinox, the sun rises directly over the central tower, a celestial spectacle designed to connect the earthly king with the divine cosmos. This was architecture as astronomy, a stone calendar built on an epic scale. The Khmers were masters of water management, creating a sophisticated network of canals and reservoirs, or barrays, that stretched 4 miles. This system not only sustained a massive population in the city of Angkor, but also controlled the monsoon rains, turning a volatile environment into a source of immense wealth and power. Angkor wasn't just a collection of temples. It was one of the largest, most advanced urban centers in the pre-industrial world. But at its heart, Angkor Wat was a funerary temple. It was built for Suryavarman too, not just as a place of worship, but as his final resting place, a gateway to his unification with the god Vishnu after death. The temple's main entrance faces west, the direction associated with death and endings in Hindu tradition, a clue that this magnificent structure was built to secure the king's eternal life. The bas-reliefs that wrap around the temple for nearly half a mile tell epic stories, but they also serve as a guide for the king's soul on its journey into the afterlife. For centuries, this incredible city thrived. But then, in the 15th century, the impossible happened. The city of Angkor, home to nearly 1 million people, began to decline. The reasons are still debated by historians. Was it a shift in religious belief from Hinduism to Buddhism? Was it relentless warfare with neighboring kingdoms? Or was it an environmental collapse, where the very water system that gave the empire life turned against it through a series of prolonged droughts and intense monsoons? Whatever the cause, the people left. The jungle, always waiting at the edges, began its slow, relentless reclamation. Giant silk cotton and strangler fig trees grew over, under, and through the stone, their roots wrapping around the galleries like massive serpents, prying apart the ancient masonry. For 400 years, Angkor was largely forgotten by the outside world, a ghost city known only to local monks and villagers who saw it as a sacred, haunted place. It wasn't until the 1860s that a French naturalist named Henry Mouat stumbled upon the ruins. His breath taken away by what he saw, he described it as grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome. His journals and sketches sparked a wave of fascination in Europe, and the lost city was lost no more. The world was captivated by the mystery of Angkor. Who built it, and why was it abandoned? The effort to uncover and preserve Angkor Wat is a story in itself. Teams of archaeologists from around the world have worked for over a century, piecing together the puzzle of the Khmer Empire. Using modern technology like LiDAR, they've been able to peel back the jungle canopy and reveal the true extent of the ancient city, discovering a vast, complex urban sprawl that was hidden for centuries. They've painstakingly restored crumbling galleries, reassembled fallen statues, and deciphered the stories carved into the walls. Each new discovery gives us another glimpse into the lives of the people who built this wonder, their beliefs, their fears, and their extraordinary ambition. Angkor Wat is more than just a relic of the past. It's a living monument. Today, it stands as the heart of Cambodia, a symbol of national pride and resilience. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that draws millions of visitors each year, who walk the same stone corridors as the Khmer kings and priests did nearly 1,000 years ago. Buddhist monks still pray in its shaded corners, their saffron robes a vibrant splash of color against the gray stone, connecting the present to the distant past. To stand before Angkor Wat at sunrise, to watch the sky ignite behind its iconic silhouette, is to feel the weight of history and the echo of eternity. It makes you wonder about the rise and fall of civilizations, about the things we build to outlast us, and about the eternal human desire to leave a mark on the world. The story of Angkor Wat is a powerful reminder that even the greatest empires can fade, but the dreams that built them can endure, carved in stone and shrouded in jungle, waiting for us to listen to their secrets. It's a story of faith, ambition, and the unstoppable power of nature, a testament to a civilization that dared to build heaven on earth. Forget everything you think you know about ancient construction. The story of this temple isn't just about stone and mortar. It's a saga of human will, celestial alignment, and a faith that could literally move mountains. Imagine this: the 12th century, no bulldozers, no cranes, no power tools, just the relentless Cambodian sun beating down on a scene of almost unimaginable scale. Hundreds of thousands of people, laborers, artisans, engineers, and priests, dedicated to a single, monumental vision. Their mission: to build a home for the gods on earth. Their primary material was sandstone, but the nearest quarries were over 50 kilometers away, deep in the Kulin Mountains. Can you picture it? Massive blocks, some weighing several tons, were painstakingly hewn from the mountainside. Workers would drill lines of holes into the rock, stuff them with wood, and then soak the wood with water. As the wood expanded, it would crack the stone along the desired lines, a brilliant, yet brutally slow process. Once freed, these colossal blocks began an epic journey. Elephants, the living cranes of the ancient world, would drag them through dense jungle to the banks of the Siem Reap River. From there, they were loaded onto enormous bamboo rafts and floated downstream towards the construction site. It was a logistical masterpiece, a perfectly choreographed ballet of manpower and animal strength, all managed without a single spreadsheet or computer model. On site, the scene was one of organized chaos. The air would have been thick with stone dust, the constant, rhythmic clang of hammers and chisels echoing for miles. Thousands of artisans, each a master of their craft, transformed the plain sandstone blocks into a breathtaking tapestry of stories. Every surface of Angkor Wat is covered in carvings. We're talking about nearly 2,000 celestial dancers, or apsaras, each one unique. And that's not even mentioning the vast bas-relief galleries. One of the most famous galleries depicts the churning of the ocean of milk, a foundational Hindu creation myth. This single panel stretches for nearly 50 meters and features hundreds of intricately carved figures of gods and demons. The level of detail is staggering. You can see the strain on the gods' faces, the coiling of the serpent king Vasuki, the very texture of the mythical sea. To carve this with such precision and artistry, using only simple hand tools, is a feat that defies modern comprehension. It is a testament to a level of patience and dedication that is almost lost to our fast-paced world. For over 3 decades, this monumental effort continued. This wasn't just a construction project. It was a collective act of devotion. Generations of families likely worked on the temple, with fathers passing their skills down to their sons. They weren't just building a structure. They were building their connection to the divine, pouring their sweat, their spirit, and their faith into every single stone. And from this incredible crucible of labor and belief, a miracle began to rise from the jungle floor. But Angkor Wat is so much more than just an architectural achievement. It's a physical representation of the entire cosmos. To the Khmer people, this was the center of the universe. The 5 main towers that dominate the skyline represent the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical home of the Hindu gods. The vast moat surrounding the temple, which is almost 200 meters wide, symbolizes the cosmic ocean that encircles the world. The concentric walls and galleries represent the mountain ranges at the edge of the earth. Walking through Angkor Wat is like walking through a 3-dimensional map of heaven. The genius of its creators extends beyond symbolism. The entire temple is a massive astronomical instrument. Its layout is perfectly aligned with the stars. The main western causeway, for instance, is designed so that during the spring and autumn equinoxes, the sun rises directly over the central tower. Imagine witnessing that moment as a 12th century pilgrim. You would be seeing a perfect, planned alignment of heaven and earth, a confirmation that your king and your kingdom were in harmony with the cosmos. How did they achieve such incredible precision? Modern scholars armed with GPS and laser technology are still baffled. The Khmer engineers had no advanced measuring devices, yet they aligned a structure covering over 400 acres with pinpoint accuracy. Was it a lost form of mathematics? A deep, intuitive understanding of astronomy passed down through generations? Or was it, as the Khmer themselves believed, guided by divine inspiration? The mystery only adds to the magic of the place. Angkor Wat was the soul of the Khmer Empire at its zenith, a symbol of its power, its piety, and its unparalleled artistic and scientific achievements. But like all great empires, its golden age couldn't last forever. Subsequent kings shifted their religious focus from Hinduism to Buddhism, and the capital eventually moved. Slowly, the jungle began its patient reclamation. Vines snaked their way over the carvings, and massive tree roots pried the stones apart. For centuries, Angkor Wat was largely forgotten by the outside world, a sleeping giant hidden within the Cambodian wilderness. It wasn't until the 19th century that French explorers, guided by local stories, rediscovered the temple and brought its splendor to the world's attention. The restoration work that began then continues to this day, a global effort to preserve this masterpiece for all humanity. Today, visiting Angkor Wat is a pilgrimage in itself. To stand before its towers at sunrise, to trace the ancient stories carved in its walls, is to feel a profound connection to the past. It is a humbling reminder of what we are capable of when we are driven by a powerful vision. It stands as a timeless message in stone, that with faith, ingenuity, and a will as strong as the mountains themselves, humanity can create something truly eternal. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey to the heart of the Khmer Empire. Have you ever heard of a place so magnificent, so perfectly crafted, that it was believed to be built not by human hands, but by gods? A place swallowed by the jungle for centuries, only to re-emerge as a testament to an empire lost to time. Today, we journeyed deep into the heart of Cambodia to uncover the secrets of a stone city that has captivated the world for over a century. Angkor Wat. This isn't just a story about ancient ruins. It's a story about discovery, loss, and the enduring power of faith. So grab your explorer's hat, because we're about to step back in time. Our story begins in 1860. Imagine the scene. Dense, suffocating jungle. A French naturalist and explorer, Henry Mouat, is hacking his way through a seemingly endless sea of green. He's exhausted, battling insects, snakes, and the relentless heat. He's searching for new species, but what he finds is something far beyond his wildest imagination. Suddenly, the vines part, and he sees it, rising from the jungle floor, a breathtaking city made of stone. Towers shaped like lotus buds reaching for the sky, surrounded by a massive moat that mirrors the heavens. The carvings are so intricate, so detailed, they seem to breathe. Wat was utterly stunned. In his journal, he wrote that Angkor Wat was grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome. He couldn't believe that the local people could have built such a masterpiece. He speculated that it must have been the work of some ancient, lost civilization, perhaps even a rival to the fabled temples of King Solomon. He was, of course, mistaken about its creators, but his words ignited a firestorm of curiosity across Europe. His journals were published posthumously, and suddenly, the world was obsessed with this forgotten temple in the Cambodian jungle. Scholars, archaeologists, and adventurers flocked to Cambodia. They began the painstaking work of clearing the jungle, mapping the vast complex, and sketching every single bas-relief and sculpture. What they uncovered was staggering. This wasn't just a single temple. It was the heart of the mighty Khmer Empire, a sprawling metropolis that was once the largest pre-industrial city in the world. At its peak in the 12th century, it was home to nearly 1 million people, a bustling center of politics, religion, and culture, all sustained by an ingenious network of canals and reservoirs. Angkor Wat itself was the crown jewel, a temple dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu, built by King Suryavarman II. It was designed to be a microcosm of the Hindu universe, a heaven on earth. The sheer scale of it is hard to comprehend. The temple covers over 400 acres. The outer wall alone stretches for more than 3 kilometers, and the central towers rise nearly 700 feet into the air. But it's the details that truly leave you speechless. Nearly every surface is covered in carvings. There are thousands of apsaros, or celestial dancers, each one with a unique hairstyle and expression. There are massive galleries depicting epic stories from Hindu mythology. The churning of the ocean of milk, the great battle of Kurukshetra. It took an estimated 300,000 workers over 35 years to build it, using millions of tons of sandstone that were quarried over 30 miles away and floated down the river on rafts. It's an engineering marvel that still baffles experts today. But with fame and discovery came a darker chapter. As colonial powers asserted their influence in Southeast Asia, they also claimed ownership of its cultural treasures. Lutas, both foreign and local, began to chip away at Angkor's soul, stealing statues and priceless artifacts to sell on the black market. The heads of divine figures were callously sawn off, leaving behind rows of decapitated gods. Then, in the 20th century, Cambodia was plunged into decades of brutal conflict. The Khmer Rouge regime, in its devastating reign, saw these ancient temples as symbols of a decadent past. The sacred grounds became battlefields, scarred by bullets and landmines. The jungle, ever patient, began its slow work of reclaiming the stones once more. For a time, it seemed as if Angkor might be lost again. This time not to nature, but to human violence. Yet, through it all, Angkor Wat endured. It stood as a silent witness to the fall of empires, the greed of men, and the horrors of war. And when peace finally returned to Cambodia, so did the world. A massive international restoration effort began, one of the largest in history. Experts from dozens of countries worked alongside Cambodian teams to stabilize the crumbling structures, piece together broken statues, and clear the remaining landmines. Slowly, carefully, the temple was brought back from the brink. The scars are still there if you look closely, bullet holes poking a sacred wall, a patch of newer stone replacing what was lost. But these scars are now part of its story, a reminder of its resilience. Today, Angkor Wat is not a museum piece frozen in time. It is a living, breathing wonder. Walk through its corridors at dawn, and you'll join thousands of others, a silent congregation from around the globe, waiting for the sun to rise. As the first light hits the sky, it ignites the black silhouette of the 5 towers, painting them in hues of pink, orange, and gold. It's a moment of pure magic, a daily miracle that connects the present to a 900-year-old past. You'll see saffron-robed monks lighting candles and offering prayers, their chants echoing through the stone halls just as they have for centuries. You'll see local children playing hide-and-seek in courtyards where kings once held court, and you'll see Cambodians leaving offerings of lotus flowers, their faith still glowing as brightly as the golden light that bathes the temple walls at sunset. What makes Angkor Wat so special is this seamless blend of past and present. It has transformed over the centuries. Originally built as a Hindu temple for a king to commune with his god, it later became a center of Theravada Buddhism. It has been a royal palace, a fortress, and a place of pilgrimage. But through all these changes, it has remained the spiritual heart of the Cambodian people. It's so important that it's featured on their national flag. It's no longer just the temple of a single king or a single religion. It has become a temple for all of humanity, a symbol of what we can create and what we can endure. For 900 years, Angkor Wat has defied time. Empires have crumbled, languages have vanished, and entire civilizations have disappeared. But its 5 iconic towers still reach for the heavens. Why was it built? Some say it was an act of devotion to the gods. Others argue it was a monument to a king's power and ego. Still others believe it was a sophisticated astronomical observatory, perfectly aligned with the cosmos. Perhaps the truth is simpler, and also more profound. Perhaps Angkor Wat was built as a message sent across the centuries, from its builders to us. A message that what we create with faith, with vision, and with a deep connection to something greater than ourselves can outlast everything. It can outlast war, it can outlast greed, and it can even outlast time itself. The jungle tried to bury it. The world tried to forget it. But the spirit of this sacred place, some might say the gods themselves, never truly left. Angkor Wat stands today, not as a lost temple, but as a found one. Found by an explorer in the jungle, found by scholars in the archives, and found again every single day by those who come to gaze upon its beauty and feel its enduring power. It reminds us that even in our modern, fast-paced world, there are still places that can make us feel small, and in doing so, connect us to the vast, incredible sweep of human history. Imagine a world cloaked in mist, where the first light of dawn doesn't just touch the earth, it sets it on fire. Here, in the heart of Cambodia, swallowed by centuries of jungle, lies a miracle carved from stone. A city once believed to be the home of gods, now a silent, breathtaking reminder that even the mightiest empires can fade into whispers etched in rock. This is Angkor Wat. Its scale is almost beyond comprehension. 5 towers reaching for the heavens, a moat so wide it feels like a sea, and every surface covered in carvings so intricate, it's as if the builders themselves were divine. But this isn't just a temple. It's a story of ambition, faith, and a king's desperate quest for immortality. This is the story of how a man dared to build a heaven on earth. Let's travel back in time to the 12th century. The Khmer Empire is at the zenith of its power, a sprawling kingdom of wealth and influence. At its center is a young, ambitious king, Suryavarman II. He isn't just a ruler. He's a visionary, a warrior who united his kingdom through sheer will. But earthly power wasn't enough. He craved something more, something eternal. In the perfumed halls of his palace, surrounded by priests and advisors, Suryavarman declared his audacious plan. He would not just honor the gods, he would build a dwelling for them on earth. A mountain temple dedicated to Vishnu, so magnificent that his name would echo through eternity. It was a declaration that marked the beginning of one of the most ambitious construction projects in human history. A project not just for worship, but for a king to carve his own soul into the very fabric of the cosmos. The scale of the undertaking was staggering. For over 30 years, an army of humanity was mobilized. More than 50,000 people, skilled artisans, engineers, laborers, and elephants toiled under the Cambodian sun. The raw material was sandstone, quarried from the Kulin Mountains, nearly 30 miles away. Each block, some weighing over 1.5 tons, had to be painstakingly extracted. Imagine the scene. Thousands of men, their bodies gleaming with sweat, chipping away at the rock face with simple iron tools, the rhythmic clang of hammer on chisel echoing through the hills. Once a block was freed, the true challenge began. These colossal stones were dragged to the river, loaded onto rafts, and floated downstream during the rainy season. An intricate network of canals, an engineering marvel in itself, brought the stones right to the temple site. But how did they lift them? There were no modern cranes, no powered machinery. The Khmer used a combination of sheer manpower, clever leverage, and incredible ingenuity. They built towering bamboo scaffolding that seemed to defy gravity. They used coir ropes, winches, and pulley systems powered by elephants and men. It was a symphony of coordinated effort, a testament to their understanding of physics and mathematics. Every single stone was shaped and placed with millimeter precision. As the walls rose, they weren't just building a structure. They were piecing together a colossal, three-dimensional puzzle. Night after night, in the camps surrounding the growing temple, the workers would gather around their fires, their bodies aching. They would look up at the dark silhouette of the towers, slowly climbing toward the stars. They were the anonymous hands behind the miracle. History might not remember their individual names, but their legacy is written in every perfectly joined stone, every graceful carving, their sweat, their calloused hands. Their unwavering faith are the true builders of Angkor Wat. As the structure took shape, another army of artisans began their work. The sculptors. Angkor Wat isn't just about grand architecture. It's a canvas for one of the world's longest and most detailed stories told in stone. Nearly 2,000 Apsaras, or celestial dancers, were carved into the walls, each one unique, with different hairstyles, jewelry, and expressions. They seemed to dance right out of the rock, frozen in a moment of divine grace. But the true masterpiece lies in the bas-relief galleries. Imagine a stone tapestry stretching for half a mile. These aren't just decorative patterns. They are epic Hindu tales, brought to life. The churning of the ocean of milk, a creation myth of gods and demons, fighting for the elixir of immortality, the great battle of Kurukshetra, from the Mahabharata, and scenes depicting King Suryavarman himself, leading his armies, his divinity asserted for all to see. To walk along these galleries is to read a sacred book written in stone. The level of detail is astonishing. You see the tension in the muscles of the warriors, the expressions of joy and sorrow, the intricate patterns on their clothing. The artists who carved this were not just stonemasons. They were master storytellers, theologians, and historians, all in one. They were communicating the core beliefs of their civilization to future generations, ensuring the stories would outlast the empire itself. One of the greatest mysteries of Angkor Wat is its perfect alignment with the cosmos. It's not just a temple, it's an astronomical clock. The entire complex is oriented with breathtaking precision to the sun. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, the sun rises directly over the central tower, creating a spectacular alignment that floods the main causeway with golden light. It was a way of connecting the earthly kingdom with the divine order of the heavens, symbolizing the king's role as a mediator between gods and men. This wasn't just architecture, it was sacred geometry on a cosmic scale. For 37 years, the work continued. Suryavarman II poured the entire wealth and energy of his kingdom into his creation. He would never see it fully completed. He died before the final carvings were done, and in a fitting tribute, his ashes were believed to be interred within the central sanctuary, the very heart of his mountain of stone. He had achieved his goal. He had built his own eternity. But empires, like men, are mortal. Less than 30 years after Suryavarman's death, the Khmer capital was sacked by a rival kingdom. The empire began a slow decline. Over the centuries, the royal court moved, and Angkor was gradually reclaimed by the jungle. The stone city of the gods fell silent. Giant banyan and silk cotton trees wrapped their roots around the galleries, their branches piercing through the roofs. The cries of monkeys replaced the chants of priests. For nearly 400 years, Angkor Wat waited, hidden from the outside world, a secret kept by the forest. It was never truly abandoned by the local Khmer people, who saw it as a sacred place, but its existence became the stuff of legend for everyone else. Then, in the mid-19th century, a French naturalist named Henri Mouat guided by local stories of a lost city, hacked his way through the dense jungle. Can you imagine what he felt, pushing aside a final curtain of leaves and vines to behold this impossible structure rising from the wilderness? He described it as grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome. His journals, published after his death, sparked a wave of fascination in the West. The world was reintroduced to Angkor Wat, and the long, painstaking process of restoration began. Today, Angkor Wat stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the proud symbol of Cambodia and one of the most awe-inspiring places on the planet. It's a survivor. It has weathered centuries of neglect, war, and the relentless embrace of the jungle. It is a powerful reminder that what we create with passion and purpose can outlast us, can outlast empires, and can continue to speak to us across the vast expanse of time. Visiting Angkor Wat is more than just sightseeing. It's a pilgrimage. It's about feeling the coolness of the ancient stones under your hand, watching the sunrise paint the towers in hues of pink and gold, and hearing the whispers of history in the wind. It's about understanding that we are all part of a much larger story. The hands that built this place are long gone, but their spirit, their genius, and their dream of touching the heavens remain, forever carved in stone for us to witness. Have you ever stood in a place so ancient, so perfectly crafted, that it felt like you were touching the edge of the universe? Today, we journey to the heart of the ancient Khmer Empire, to a monument that defies time and logic, Angkor Wat. This isn't just a story about stones and kings. It's a story about a civilization that reached for the heavens and, for a moment, held them in its hands. Imagine a world over 900 years ago. A powerful king, Suryavarman II, has a vision, not just of a temple, but of a heaven on earth. He commands the construction of a stone masterpiece dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu, a structure so vast it would take over 30 years and hundreds of thousands of artisans, laborers, and elephants to build. They moved millions of tons of sandstone from a quarry over 25 miles away, floating the massive blocks down canals and rivers. This was a project on a scale that rivaled the pyramids of Egypt, a testament to unwavering faith and absolute power. But Angkor Wat is more than just big. It's brilliant. Every wall, every corridor, every tower is aligned with cosmic precision. This wasn't just architecture, it was a three-dimensional cosmic map. The temple was built to mirror the heavens. Its 5 iconic central towers represent the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods at the center of the universe. The massive outer walls mark the edge of this universe, and the vast, shimmering moats surrounding it all symbolize the cosmic ocean from which all life emerged. And here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. The ancient Khmer were master astronomers. They engineered the temple to interact with the sun and stars. At sunrise on the spring equinox, the most important day in their celestial calendar, something magical happens. If you stand on the Western Causeway, you will see the sun rise directly over the pinnacle of the central tower. It's a perfect alignment, a moment where the heavens and earth unite. Light pierces through the temple gates, traveling down the long corridor to illuminate the central chamber where a statue of Vishnu once stood. This wasn't just decoration, it was divine science, an understanding of the cosmos woven into stone, a message from the king to his people and his gods that he was the rightful ruler, the link between the mortal and divine realms. With his divine mandate literally set in stone, King Suryavarman II turned his gaze outward. His ambition was as vast as his temple. Under his rule, the Khmer Empire swelled to its greatest extent, a colossal power stretching from what we now know as Vietnam, all the way across Thailand and into Laos. Armies marched under his banner, their elephants adorned for war, their drums beating a rhythm of conquest. His reign was the zenith, the absolute golden age of the empire. But as any student of history knows, great power attracts great danger. Rival kingdoms, envious and fearful of the Khmer's dominance, constantly challenged Suryavarman's divine rule. From the jungles of the north to the deltas of the south, enemies gathered. And the threats weren't just external. Within the gilded walls of his own court, whispers of rebellion grew louder. Ambitious advisors and jealous nobles plotted in the shadows, waiting for a sign of weakness. The signs, it seems, came from the heavens themselves. Imagine a hushed court, the air thick with incense and tension. A royal priest, his face etched with worry, approaches the king. He speaks of a terrible omen he has seen in the night sky. A blood-red lunar eclipse. In the ancient world, this was no mere astronomical event. It was a dire warning. The heavens have turned against us. Great king, the priest might have whispered. The gods are restless, but Surya Pharma, the man who built a heaven on earth, was not one to be intimidated by shadows in the sky. He reportedly declared, "Then we shall ride out and remind the gods who built their temple." He was a god king, and he would meet fate on the battlefield. And so, the king rode into battle one last time. Picture him, his armor gilded with gold, shining like the sun itself. His banner, blessed by the temple priests, snapped in the wind. He was the embodiment of the empire's power and divine favor. But on that fateful campaign, something went wrong. The details are lost to history, swallowed by the jungle and the passage of time. King Suryavarman II, the great builder, the conqueror, the god king, never returned from war. His body was never found, lost somewhere in the vast, unforgiving wilderness. With Takina's disappearance, the empire's golden age began to fade. A power vacuum opened, and the shadows that had been gathering finally descended. The precise cause of Angkor's decline is still debated by historians. Was it the endless wars that drained the kingdom's resources? Was it internal strife and a succession of weaker kings? Some recent theories point to a more insidious enemy: climate change. Evidence suggests that a series of prolonged droughts, followed by intense monsoons, crippled the complex water management system that was the lifeblood of the city. The canals that fed the people and filled the moats ran dry and then overflowed, leading to agricultural collapse. The system that had sustained a city of nearly 1 million people simply broke down. The capital was eventually moved, and Angkor, the magnificent city of gods and kings, was slowly, inexorably reclaimed by the jungle. For centuries, it remained a myth, a ghost city whispered about by locals. Its towers became tangled in the serpentine roots of giant banyan trees, its galleries home to bats and snakes. It wasn't until the 19th century that French explorers, guided by local stories, rediscovered the site for the Western world, stunned by the scale and beauty of what lay hidden beneath the canopy. Today, Angkor Wat stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, visited by millions who come to marvel at its grandeur. But it's more than just a tourist destination. It is a silent witness to the soaring ambition and ultimate fragility of human civilization. It reminds us that even the greatest empires, ruled by kings who believe themselves to be gods, are subject to the forces of nature and the relentless march of time. In the heart of the Cambodian jungle, a monument sleeps, wrapped in the arms of time. For centuries, it was a whisper, a legend, a city of stone swallowed by a relentless green tide. This is a story of Angkor Wat, not just a temple, but a universe carved from stone, a testament to faith and the symbol of an empire that touched the heavens before vanishing from the world. How could a civilization capable of such grandeur simply disappear? And how did its greatest creations survive, waiting patiently in the shadows for the world to find it again? Join us as we journey back in time to uncover the secrets of the lost temple of the gods. Our story begins in the 12th century with a king named Suryavarman II. He wasn't just a ruler, he was a visionary, a man who saw himself as a living god. He commanded an empire that stretched across Southeast Asia, an empire of immense wealth, power, and devotion. But power is fleeting. To make his legacy eternal, he began a project of unimaginable scale. He wouldn't build a palace or a fortress. He would build a gateway to the heavens, a home on earth for the great Hindu god, Vishnu. This was the birth of Angkor Wat. Imagine, for a moment, the sheer human effort. Over 30 years, an army of 300,000 workers and 6,000 elephants toiled under the tropical sun. They quarried and transported millions of tons of sandstone blocks, each one weighing as much as a small car, from a mountain over 30 miles away. They floated these massive stones on rafts, down canals and rivers, a logistical miracle in itself. But the true genius wasn't just in the scale, but in the artistry. Every surface of Angkor Wat was brought to life. An army of master carvers, the finest in the empire, chiseled for decades, transforming cold stone into a living tapestry of myth and history. They carved over 2,000 Apsara celestial dancers, each one unique, their faces filled with serene smiles, and their bodies swaying to a silent, divine music. They sculpted vast, sprawling bas-reliefs, galleries stretching for half a mile, depicting epic battles from the Hindu scriptures like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Here, gods and demons clash in a cosmic struggle. There, King Suryavarman himself rides into battle atop his war elephant, leading his armies. This wasn't just decoration, it was scripture in stone, a story meant to be read by walking through its hallowed halls, a visual Bible for a nation. The temple itself is a perfect microcosm of the Hindu universe. The central 5 towers represent the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods. The vast moat surrounding it, over 3 miles in circumference, symbolizes the cosmic ocean. To enter Angkor Wat was to leave the mortal world behind and ascend into the realm of the divine. For decades, it was the pulsating heart of the Khmer Empire, a place of pilgrimage, ceremony, and celestial power, the center of their world. But no golden age lasts forever. As centuries passed, the great empire began to fracture. The complex irrigation systems that fed its people failed. New kings rose, and a new faith swept across the land. The divine patronage shifted from the Hindu gods to the serene teachings of the Buddha. Angkor Wat was not abandoned, but transformed. The halls that once echoed with chants to Vishnu now filled with the quiet meditation of Buddhist monks. They turned the grand corridors into sanctuaries, placing statues of the Buddha in quiet alcoves. The temple found a new purpose, a new peace. The gods had changed, but the sacredness of the place remained. But then, the world outside the temple walls began to crumble. A combination of drought, disease, and relentless wars with neighboring kingdoms bled the empire dry. The capital city, once a bustling metropolis of 1 million people, slowly emptied. The people left, the monks departed, and the jungle, which had been held at bay for centuries, saw its chance. It crept back in, slowly at first, then all at once. Giant silk cotton and strangler fig trees sent their roots snaking through the sandstone, prying apart massive blocks. Vines draped themselves over the celestial dancers, covering their smiles. The stones cracked under the pressure. Moss grew over the faces of gods, and the world forgot. When the last candle of the last monk finally went out, only the silence of the jungle remained. For 400 years, Angkor Wat was lost, a ghost city sleeping under a blanket of green. Then, in the year 1860, everything changed. A French naturalist and explorer named Henry Mouat was hacking his way through the dense Cambodian jungle, searching for exotic insects and plants. What he found was something far more profound, something utterly impossible. Parting a curtain of vines, he stared in disbelief. Before him rose a series of colossal stone towers, covered in moss and shimmering in the humid air. It was a temple, untouched by time, larger and more elaborate than any cathedral in Europe. He had stumbled upon the lost heart of the Khmer Empire. In his journal, Mouat struggled to find the words, writing, "One of these temples are rival to that of Solomon, and erected by some ancient Michelangelo might take an honorable place beside our most beautiful buildings. It is grander than anything left to us by Greece or Rome." His discovery, published posthumously, sent shockwaves across the Western world. The legend of a lost city in the jungle was real. Scholars, adventurers, and archaeologists flocked to Cambodia, eager to gaze upon the miracle Mouat had described. The lost empire of the Khmer was reborn, this time in the eyes of all humankind. But rediscovery came with a new kind of threat. Greed followed wonder. Looters, drawn by the promise of priceless artifacts, chiseled the heads off statues and stole entire sections of the sacred reliefs. The delicate balance of the temple was disturbed. Then came the horrors of the 20th century. Civil war and the brutal Khmer Rouge regime engulfed Cambodia. During this dark period, the temple became a battlefield, scarred by bullets and neglect. Yet, through centuries of turmoil, through the creeping jungle, colonial greed, and the ravages of modern war, Angkor Wat stood, patient, enduring, eternal. Its grandeur could not be silenced. Today, Angkor Wat is no ruin. It is a living, breathing testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The first golden rays of dawn still strike the central tower, just as they did 900 years ago, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. It's a daily reminder that what is truly great, what is built from faith in creation, can outlast empires and ideologies. Walk through its corridors now, and you'll hear the soft chants of monks in saffron robes, their prayers weaving a continuous thread of devotion that stretches back centuries. You'll see the awestruck faces of travelers from every corner of the globe, humbled by its scale and beauty. You'll see local children playing in its courtyards, their laughter echoing in the same spaces where kings once held court. Angkor Wat lives through the prayers of the faithful, through the footsteps of pilgrims, and through the dreams of a nation that has risen from the ashes, with this temple as its unbreakable heart and soul. The jungle once tried to bury it. The centuries did their best to erase it. But the spirit of this place, the divinity carved into its very stones, never left. Because what is truly divine never really dies. It simply waits to be found again. This is Angkor Wat, the lost and found temple of the gods. Did you know that the story of Angkor Wat isn't just one of breathtaking beauty, but also one of epic ambition, shifting faith, and eventual mysterious collapse? Let's journey back in time, beyond the serene stone faces we see today, to a period of turmoil and transformation that shaped this world wonder. As the magnificent towers of Angkor Wat reached for the heavens, the Khmer Empire, fueled by an insatiable hunger for power, was on the march. Imagine vast armies, their banners emblazoned with the symbols of the Hindu god Vishnu, sweeping across the landscapes of Southeast Asia. At their head was the king, Suryafar Mandua, a ruler revered not just as a monarch, but as a living deity, a god on earth. Every victory, every newly conquered territory, was seen as a divine blessing. The wealth of entire nations flowed back to the capital, funding the construction of even more elaborate temples and palaces. The empire stretched from modern-day Myanmar to Vietnam, a sprawling testament to Khmer might. From the intricate carvings on the temple walls, you can almost hear the tramp of marching feet and the triumphant cheers of a conquering army. It was an age of unparalleled power, where the Khmer king's word was law, backed by the might of both his soldiers and his gods. But even empires that touch the divine have their breaking points. Power invites challenge. To the west, the ambitious kingdom of Siam was rising, its warriors sharpening their swords, eyeing the vast wealth of Angkor. To the south, other rival states grew bold, sensing a shift in the winds of power. The relentless expansion had stretched the empire's resources thin. Then, nature itself seemed to turn against them. The predictable rhythm of the monsoons, the lifeblood of their rice paddies, and the intricate canal systems began to falter. Unprecedented droughts were followed by devastating floods. Famine, a specter the empire had long kept at bay, began to stalk the land. The fields that fed millions lay barren and cracked. Amidst the suffering and uncertainty, whispers started to circulate through the grand city. Had the gods, who'd blessed their conquests for so long, finally turned their faces away? Was this the beginning of the end? This period of crisis wasn't just about external threats and natural disasters. It was also a time of profound spiritual change. Following the death of the great Suryavarman II, a new spiritual current began to flow through the empire. A different philosophy, a different path to enlightenment, started to capture the hearts and minds of the people. Buddhism. Imagine the scene within the sacred walls of Angkor Wat itself. Priests, who had 4 generations performed rituals to Vishnu, began to carefully remove the statues of the Hindu deity. In their place, serene, golden figures of the Buddha were carried in by saffron-robed monks. The great temple, built as a cosmic home for a Hindu god, was being The complex Sanskrit chants gave way to the gentle, rhythmic sutras of Buddhist monks. The very soul of the temple was changing. This transformation wasn't a violent purge, but a gradual fusion. If you look closely at the carvings today, you can see this history written in stone. Apsuras, the celestial dancers of Hindu lore. share wall space with figures of meditating bodhisattvas. The epic tallies of the Ramayana are carved just galleries away from scenes depicting the life of the Buddha. It's a unique and beautiful blend, two of the world's great spiritual traditions coexisting within the same sacred space. The walls of Angkor Wat don't just tell one story. They whisper the tale of an empire's evolving soul. But no matter how strong the walls or how deep the faith, no empire is eternal. The 14th century brought with it a storm that Angkor could not. Whether the climatic shifts that had begun earlier intensified. The great Tonle Sap Lake and the network of rivers that sustained the city swelled into catastrophic floods, inundating the rice fields and drowning the foundations of the city. Then, just as suddenly, the rains vanished completely. A crippling drought settled over the land, turning the once lush landscape into a parched wasteland. The sophisticated water management system, the very engineering marvel that had allowed the city to thrive, collapsed under the strain. Weakened by famine and internal strife, the empire became vulnerable. From the west, the armies of the Siamese kingdom of Ayutthaya saw their opportunity. They launched repeated, brutal invasions, sacking the glorious capital. The sounds of battle replaced the sounds of prayer. And then, one day, silence. The bustling city of nearly 1 million people, a metropolis that was the largest in the world at the time, simply emptied. Its inhabitants fled, its temples were abandoned, and its palaces were left to crumble. The great city of the gods was no more. It was swallowed by the relentless jungle, with giant banyan trees and creeping vines consuming the stone, and its memory was lost to the outside world. For over 400 years, Angkor Wat slept, hidden beneath a thick, green canopy. The world outside moved on, forgetting the magnificent city that once was. Its soaring towers, designed to represent the mythical Mount Meru, became just another part of the jungle landscape, obscured by a sea of leaves. They were like stone fingers reaching for a sun that no longer remembered them. The silence was broken only by the chatter of monkeys and the cry of birds. The stories of 1 million souls, their triumphs and their tragedies, were held captive by the roots and vines, waiting for the day they would be rediscovered and told once more. This lost city became one of history's greatest mysteries, a sleeping giant waiting to be awakened. And that awakening finally came in the 19th century, when French explorers, guided by local stories of a lost city in the jungle, stumbled upon this forgotten wonder. Imagine their astonishment, hacking through dense vegetation to suddenly see these colossal stone towers rising before them. It was a discovery that captivated the world. Today, Angkor Wat stands as a symbol of Cambodia and a testament to the incredible heights of human creativity and devotion. But it is also a powerful reminder of the impermanence of all things, of how even the greatest empires can fall, and how faith can transform. It teaches us that history is never static. It's a living story of change, collapse, and rebirth. Suryavarman II wasn't just building a temple. He was forging a kingdom in stone, a testament to his divine right to rule. But empires are like seasons. They change. After his death, a new wind blew through the Khmer lands, carrying with it the teachings of the Buddha. The once sacred halls dedicated to Vishnu, the protector, slowly transformed. Monks, with their saffron robes and serene smiles, began to fill the corridors where powerful priests once chanted. The towering statues of Vishnu were carefully moved, replaced by the tranquil, golden figures of the Buddha, seated in deep meditation. Imagine the scene. The scent of incense, once offered to a Hindu god, now rising in prayer to another path of enlightenment. The gods were replaced, the mantras changed, but the walls of Angkor Wat are a library of stone, and they remembered everything. They remembered both the cosmic battles of the Hindu gods and the peaceful teachings of the Buddha. Even today, if you look closely at the carvings, you can see this incredible transformation etched into the very fabric of the temple. You'll find Hindu deities with their multiple arms and powerful expressions right next to the serene, gentle faces of Buddhists. It's a breathtaking fusion. Two worlds, two profound belief systems, sharing one sacred space. It's a silent testament to the idea that faith, like the river, can change its course, but continues to flow. But even the mightiest empires, Those that seemed destined to last for eternity eventually faced their twilight. For Angkor, the end didn't come from a single, dramatic blow, but from a slow, creeping decay. In the 14th century, the skies themselves seemed to turn against the great city. The sophisticated water management system, the very lifeblood of the empire, began to fail. First came the catastrophic floods, the great rivers overflowing their banks, drowning the rice paddies and homes. Then, as if cursed, the rains vanished completely. A crippling drought descended upon the land, bringing with it famine and despair. The weakened empire became a tempting target. From the west, warriors from the rising kingdom of Siam launched relentless invasions, chipping away at Angkor's power and wealth. The sounds of battle grew closer and closer to the heart of the city. And then, one day, the unthinkable happened. The lively sounds of the bustling city, the chatter of merchants, the laughter of children, the chanting of monks all fell silent. The city of 1,000,000 souls, once the largest urban center on Earth, was abandoned. It was simply gone. The jungle, always waiting at the edges, began its patient reclamation. Giant banyan and silk cotton trees wrapped their roots around the stone towers like massive pythons, slowly strangling the life. Out of the city, vines crept over the intricate carvings, covering the faces of gods and kings. The world outside moved on, and Angkor was consumed by the green tide, forgotten by history. For centuries, the magnificent temple of Angkor Wat slept beneath a thick jungle canopy, its 5 iconic towers rising through the leaves like giant stone fingers, reaching for a sun that no longer remembered them. It became a ghost city, a legend whispered only by the wind rustling through the leaves. For over 400 years, Angkor slumbered, a lost world hidden in plain sight. Then, in the year 1860, a French naturalist, an explorer named Henry Moore, driven by a thirst for adventure and a fascination with the unknown, was hacking his way through the dense Cambodian jungle. He was battling mosquitoes, snakes, and the suffocating heat when he stumbled upon something that would change history, parting a curtain of thick vines. He froze. There, before him, stood a city made entirely of stone. Towers that seemed to pierce the sky. Galleries lined with carvings of such exquisite detail and perfection that he simply couldn't believe they were the work of human hands. In his journals, which would later captivate all of Europe, he wrote with breathless awe, describing it as a rival to the temples of Solomon, a creation grander than anything left by ancient Greece or Rome. He had discovered a forgotten empire, reborn from the earth. The news spread like wildfire. Scholars, archaeologists, and artists rushed to Cambodia, desperate to see this lost marvel for themselves. They began the painstaking work of mapping the vast complex, sketching the endless bas-reliefs, and beginning the long, arduous process of restoration. They quickly realized that Muat hadn't just found a temple. He had uncovered an entire civilization, a lost chapter of human history. But with this newfound fame came a dark shadow. Greed. The rediscovery of Angkor Wat triggered a rush, not just of scholars, but of looters. Priceless statues were decapitated, their heads smuggled away to be sold in private collections and foreign museums. Colonial powers, seeing the immense cultural value, laid their own claims to the heritage of the Khmer people. And then, in the 20th century, the horrors of war swept across Cambodia, leaving fresh scars on the ancient stone's bullet holes and damage that even time struggles to heal. Angkor Wat, which had survived the jungle, now had to survive humanity. Yet, through it, all through the fall of an empire, the slow embrace of the jungle, the greed of looters, and the ravages of warths, spirit of Angkor Wat endured. Today, it stands not as a silent relic frozen in the past, but as a living, breathing wonder. It is a place where the past and present meet in a beautiful, daily ritual. Every single dawn, as the first light of day breaks, the sky behind its 5 lotus bud towers ignites in a symphony of pink, orange, and gold. Thousands of people from every corner of the globe gather in shared silence to witness this miracle, a sight that connects them to a memory older than any living person. Walk through its corridors today, and you'll see children playing on the same flagstones where mighty kings once walked. You'll hear the soft chanting of Buddhist monks echoing in the same chambers where ancient gods were once worshipped. And you'll see the stone walls covered in stories of myth and history, still glowing under the warm, golden light of unwavering faith. Angkor Wat has transcended its origins. It is no longer just the temple of a powerful king or the shrine of a specific religion. It has become something more. It is a symbol of human resilience, of our incredible capacity to create beauty and our enduring quest for meaning. It's a testament to the fact that even when civilizations fall and cities are lost, the greatest creations of the human spirit can survive, continuing to inspire awe and wonder in all of us. It is, in the truest sense, the temple of humanity. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please give this video a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the world's most incredible wonders. See you next time.